All right, so we're going to look at our ratios, rates, unit rate quiz review. All right, so if we're going to take a look here, the first section says identify each as a ratio that is either part to part to whole, a rate, or a unit rate. All right, so I have 15 girls over 12 boys. Well, I see that I'm comparing the same thing, so I'm either part to part or part to whole. Okay, so I'm going to compare same. And it looks like I do not have a total, so for this one, I am part over part. Okay, I have 226 grade students over 630 middle school students. Well, I'm comparing the same thing. I'm comparing two different types of students. Okay, and it looks like I have a part over my total middle school students, so I'm a part over whole. All right. 60 miles in 3 hours. Well, it looks like miles and hours are not the same thing. So I'm comparing two different things. So compare different. And remember, our unit rate is a number over one. It's our quantity over one. So if I look here, 60 miles over 3 hours, well, I'm not out of one. So for this one, I'm at a rate. And then letter D is 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer. Well, meters and kilometers are not the same thing. They're two different things. And so then I'm either a rate or a unit rate. Well, remember, unit rate's a number out of one. So let's see, 1,000 out of 1. So for this one, it is a unit rate. It is a unit rate. Let's see if that will make it easier. It's just on my charts. All right. Our next section, it says scale each ratio up or down to determine the unknown quantity. Show your work and show the scale factor. It says circle your answer, but there's not really one particular answer. It's just saying once you solve it, then just circle it so that way we see it. All right, so I'm going from 6 hours to 18 hours. Well, it looks like I'm scaling up, and I'm going to scale up by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3, both on the top and the bottom. So 24 times 3. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So you should have 72 bracelets. Okay. I go from 9 gallons to 45 gallons. Well, if I think of my fives, 9 times 5 is 45. What I do on bottom, I must do the same thing on top. So 153 times 5. Well, 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 25, plus 1 more is 26. 6, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. So with 45 gallons, you should be going 765 miles. Okay. All right, letter B, I go from $30 for 3 pounds, $10 for unknown. Well, 30 to 10, I know that I'm scaling down, so I'm going to divide, and divided by 3. What I do on bottom, I must do on top. Well, 3 divided by 3, that is just 1 pound. That is just 1 pound. And take a look, money in pounds, that's my rate. $10 in 1 pound, that's my unit rate. So look, I can take a rate and change it and scale it down into a unit rate. All right. All right. 48 students, 6 teachers, 8 students unknown. Well, I'm going to scale down. I'm going to divide. Okay. Remember if you guys can remember like the little rhyme, 6 times 8 is 48. So 48 divided by 6 can get me to 8. And what I do on top, I must do the same thing on bottom. So 6 divided by 6 is 1 for 1 teacher. All right, number 4. Mrs. Smith and Miss Roberts are planning a party to honor the teachers at their school. They each suggest a recipe for pumpkin punch to serve at the party. So Smith's recipe is 3 parts pumpkin, 5 parts ginger ale. Robert's recipe is 5 parts pumpkin, 8 parts ginger ale. For each recipe, write a ratio that compares the number of parts of pumpkin to the total number of parts, so part to whole. Ratio. All right, so for Miss Smith, I need to find out the total parts. Well, 5 plus 3 is 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 total. Ms. Roberts has 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 total. And now I can write my ratio. So I want to know the parts of pumpkin over the total. Well, I have 3 over 8. And that's for Ms. Smith. So 3 pumpkin over total. Miss Roberts has 4 parts pumpkin over 12 parts total. Now, I noticed with Miss Smith's, it's 3 over 8, and I know that that fraction cannot reduce, but take a look at Miss Roberts. I see that it's 4 over 12. Well, I know that 4 can go into both 4 and 12. So I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay. Which recipe will have the stronger pumpkin taste? Explain and how you determined your reasoning. All right, so now I got to compare my 2 fractions. I have 3 over 8 for Smith. And then Roberts, let's see, 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. Let's go ahead and use this ratio, the 4 over 12. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we have to get to the exact same common denominator. And I notice, if I have my math correctly, that 24 is the common denominator between both. So I'm going to multiply this fraction here by 8 times 3 is 24, and this fraction here by 2. To get 24 on the bottom for both, and then what I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. So the one that has the most or the strongest pumpkin taste is Miss Smith. Okay, it is Miss Smith. All right. Our next section, use proportions to solve the following and show your work. All right, so a car has traveled 320 miles in 4 hours. At this rate, how many miles will the car travel in 1 hour? So I have 320 over 4. Okay, so I'm going to do miles over hours. I'm going to set this equal to 1 hour over unknown miles. Over unknown miles. All right, I can scale this down by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. And what I do on bottom, I must do on top. Well, 4 goes on the outside, 320 on the inside. 4 can go into 32. I believe that's 8 times. 32 divided by 4. Oops. Is 8 times, and 8 times 4 is 32. Subtracting, bring down my 0. Well, 4 can go into 0 times. So the car can travel 80 miles in 1 hour. It's pretty fast. All right. Number 6. Melody uses the rate table to keep track of how much she earns as a babysitter based on how long she works. So complete the table. All right. So I see that for 1.5 hours I work, I get $15. For 3 hours I work, I get $30. Okay. Well, if I want to find out, I think the easiest would be to find out how much do I earn in 1 hour. Well, if I go from 3 to 1, I'm going to divide by 3. And I'm going to do the same thing here. What I do on top, I must do on bottom. Well, $30 divided by 3 is $10. And now I can go from here. Well, 1 to 2 is times 2. Well, from here to here needs to be times 2. Well, 10 times 2 is $20. Okay. Let's go easier. Okay, so from 1 to 1/2, I'm going to divide by 2. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So dividing by 2, well, 10 divided by 2 is $5. And then let's look at 2.5. Well, we can just use our table to help us. For every 2 hours I work, or I earn $20. For every half hour, I earn $5. Well, for 2.5, I'm going to take the 2 hour earning and the half hour earning and add them together to get $25. Okay. Now we use the table to solve the rest. All right, so letter B. What is Melanie's unit rate for babysitting? It is dollars per hour. So for 1 hour, I earn $10. So $10 per hour. Or you can write it as $10 over 1 hour. Okay, determine Melody's charge for 5.5 hours of babysitting and show your work. All right, so for 1 hour, I earn $10. And I want to know how much am I going to earn for 5.5? Well, 5.5 times 10. All I do is just take the amount I earn and then multiply it by 5.5. All right, so 0, 0. When I'm done with the 0, do not forget your placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 5 is 5. Add this up, 5, 5, 0. And then I have a 1 place value behind the decimal, so I'm going to move it 1 time to the left. So for 5.5 hours, I should earn $55. All right, and then Melody made $67.50 for babysitting job. And then how many hours did she babysit? Show your work. All right. So, all right, you can do this many different ways. We can do $76.50 divided by $10 because I know that that is how much it is per hour. Okay. It's the same thing as setting up this ratio of $10 per 1 hour is equal to $67.50 per unknown. Okay. Or let me make sure I can do this. Let's go ahead and do it this way. All right. $10 is on the outside. $67.50 is on the inside. All right. I know that 10 can't go into 6, but it can go into 66 times. With 7 left over, bring down the 5. 10 can't go into 5. Or no, it can go into 75 7 times, sorry. 5, bring down the 0. And then 10 can go into 50 5 times. With nothing left over. So Melanie would work 6 hours and 6.75 hours, not many hours. Or you can say 6 3/4 of an hour. It's the same thing. Okay, it is the same thing. All right. And our last section. All right, so scale each rate to the unit rate, showing your work. So I have a rate here, and I want to get down to 1 quart. So that's what I'm trying to solve, is how many fluid ounces are in 1 quart? Well, 3 to 1 is divided by 3. What I do on bottom, I must do on top. All right, so 192 on the inside, 3 on the outside. Well, 3 can't go into 1. It can go into 19. I believe that's 3 times 6 is 18. Yep, it can go in there 6 times. With 1 left over, bring down the 2. Well, 3 can go into 12 4 times with nothing left over. All right, so for 1 quart, I have 64 fluid ounces. 50 kilometers for 5 hours. Well, I want to know the unit rate, so how long am I going to go for 1 hour? Well, 5 to 1 is divided by 5. I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Well, 50 divided by 10, 5 is 10 kilometers. 50 divided by 5 is 10 kilometers. All right, number 8. Miss Johnson pumped 12 gallons of gas into her car. How many liters of gas would that be? Show your work. All right, so I know that for 1 gallon, because I'm told right here, it is 3.79 liters. Okay, I have pumped 12 gallons into my car. How many liters is this? All right, so I'm going to go from 1 to 12. I'm scaling up by 12. What I do on the top, I must do on the bottom. So 3.79 times 12. Well, 2 times 9 is 18, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 more is 15, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Done with the 2, placeholder. Done with these ones. 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 3 is 3, and then I'm going to add everything up from here. 8 plus 0 is 8, 9 plus 5 is 14, 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 1 more is 15, and then 3 plus 1 is 4. Well, I have 2 decimal places behind, or 2 place values behind the decimal, so I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to get 45.48 liters. 45.48 liters. All right, and then the last one, number 9. The zoo earned the money that they needed to remodel the aviary. To determine the amount of supplies they will need to measure the space. However, the supplies are in meters, and the zoo needs to tell the clerk the measurements in inches. Okay, so we're in meters, and I need to get to inches. The length of my room is 4 meters. How many inches will the zoo tell the clerk for the length of the room? And then I am given that 1 meter is 39.37 inches. So 1 meter is equal to 39.37 inches. And I know that my room is 4 meters unknown over an unknown amount of inches. Okay. So I'm going to scale up my ratio. So from 1 to 4 is times 4. What I do on the top, I must do on the bottom. So I'm going to have 39.37 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more, 14. 4 times 9, I think that's 36. Yep, 36 plus 1 more is 37. 4 times 3 is 12. 13, 14, 15 now. And then I'm done. And I see there are 2 place values behind the decimal. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And then 4 meters is equivalent to 157.48 inches. 157.48 inches. If you have any questions, please let us